All right, review for Chapter 6. Okay, so the median. Think about where the median of the highway is. The median is in the middle. Okay, so we're looking for something with middle. And that is going to be C, a segment that bisects, sorry about that, bisects the side of a triangle. Bisect means to cut into two equal parts. In other words, it's going from a vertex to the midpoint. So the median connects to the midpoint of a side. Altitude. Altitude is D. It is a segment that makes a right angle. It's a perpendicular line to a side of the triangle, also coming from the vertex. The centroid is A. It's the point where all the medians intersect. Perpendicular bisector, that is E. It's the only segment that doesn't have to pass through a vertex of the triangle. It is both perpendicular, like an altitude, and a bisector, like a median. So this is the combination of a median and an altitude. But it doesn't have to come from vertex, like the median. And angle bisector is B, a segment that splits an angle into two congruent angles. It bisects it. Okay, so we talked about this one that would be helpful to split this into two and fill in what you know. Now you know on this one that these two sides match. You know this is 90 and you know this is 45. Well, you know this is 45 also then. Which means you can go over and fill in, right here. Here's that triangle. And where is that angle 45? It's right there. So if you could overlay this right there, you would see that that's 45. I know you can't do that with, on pencil and paper, but you can visualize it. So that means M is 45. Now, if this is 60 right here, and these two sides are equal, that means it's at least an isosceles triangle. It could be isosceles or equilateral. But it's at least isosceles, which means if you draw your arrows in, these two angles must be the same. Well, you use 60 degrees here, there's 180 degrees in a triangle, that means there's 120 left. If these base angles have to be the same, that means they are both 60 also. Now again, if you can visually think about moving this over here, that angle in the corner right here is 60 degrees, which means this right here is 60 degrees. Now, the red part is 45. The whole angle is 60. So what does that leave? 60 minus 45, which is 15 degrees. And now P. Again, if we move this over, well, that works too. Over here, we know that this is 60 degrees. Okay? We're just looking at this triangle right here. 60, 60, 60. Well, if this whole angle down here is 90, what does that leave here? 30. Separating them makes it much easier to see all that. WS is an angle bisector of wave, WAV. Now, you can draw any triangle you want. I personally think it's just much easier to draw at least isosceles triangles, if not equilateral. And when I see W, which is part of the triangle, I just put that at the top. It's always easier to draw these things from the top. You don't have to, but it makes it easier for me visually. So it's an angle bisector, which just means I'm cutting this in half. Now that doesn't look very equal, but I mark it equal because I know I'm just doing this for visual purposes. Again, you could draw your triangle any way you want. and make, your angle bisector there. And this would be W and A. And it doesn't matter. Okay? The key point is you're trying to show that two angles are equal. Now, here's where some of you are still struggling. Naming triangles or angles. AWS. You start at A. Sorry, I forgot to put in S. There's S. So you start at A, you go to W, you go to S. That's this angle right here. It says AWS is 3x plus 19. That's this angle right there. Okay? Then it says that VWS, this angle right there, which is equal, is 5x plus 1. Now, where's VWS on this one? Here's VWS. So that means 5x plus 1 is that angle right there. And 3x plus 19 is that angle right there. That's how you name an angle. Remember, this letter, the middle, is the vertex. Okay? Since we've marked them equal, we can just solve it now by saying 3x plus 19 is equal to 5x plus 1. Subtract 3x, I get 2x. Subtract 1, I get 18. Divide by 2, x is 9. Now, notice it says solve for x and AWV. Now, where's AWV? AWV. That means you have to plug 9 into both of them, or plug 9 into one of them and double it. Doesn't matter. It's the same thing. So AWV, I'm going to plug in 9 right there. 9 times 5 is 45, plus 1 is 46. 3 times 9 is 27, plus 19 is 46. Or I could have just doubled 46. So the measure of angle AWV is 92 degrees. Okay, BOY is a median. In BOY, BZ is a median. Again, I just find it easier to do something like this. There's my BOY. BZ is a median. So I'm going to try to find the middle. And again, I could draw a triangle that looks like this. And the middle's right there. As long as I draw it and separate that like so, it doesn't matter. You can draw your triangle any way you want. The important thing is to know that you have this side, YO, bisected. Now it says YZ is 8x plus 6. That's this piece right here. So that's 8x plus 6. Now very careful, it says YO is 28. That means the entire distance from here to here is 28. Okay? Well, that means this is also 8x plus 6 because those are equal to each other. So you can either say 8x plus 6 plus 8x plus 6, or you can just say 2 of these equal 28. Now at this point you have 2 things you can do. You could distribute the 2 and get 16x plus 12 equals 28. 16x equals 16. X equals 1. Another thing you could have done was divide by 2 here on both sides. Okay? And that would have given you 8x plus 6 equals 14. That's another route you could have gone. Start off by getting rid of the 2 instead of distributing it. Well, here, if you would have subtracted 6, you would have gotten 8x equals 8, and guess what? X is still 1. Now, we're supposed to find x. We have that. YZ, so we're going to plug 1 in to 8x plus 6. So, kind of cramp for space here. YZ is 1 times 8 plus 6, 14. And then it says find OZ. Well, that's the other side. So YZ and OZ are both 14. Okay, moving on. MIT. It says MO is an altitude. So I'm just going to drop this straight down and form a right angle. Again, I don't want to do that. Something like this. Doesn't matter. MO. Makes no difference. The important thing is forming a right angle. So some of you might have drawn different ways. I just want to kind of show that. Now, these are both 90 degrees. Okay? One side's 90, the other one's 90 because they're a linear pair. They're supplementary. Now it says IOM. Again, pay attention where IOM is. Here, here, here. IOM. Well, it's 90 degrees. We know that. So this is easy. We already know that answer. The measure of angle IOM, we don't even have to think about that, is 90. But we still have to solve for x. Well, this angle here is 90. What is that angle equal to? 3 times x plus 15. So, I just say 3 times x plus 15 equals 90. I'm actually going to do this twice. Same way as the previous one. I can distribute my 3 and get 3x plus 45 equals 90. Subtract 45, divide by 3, and I get 15. Or, since 90 is divisible by 3, bam, x plus 15 equals 30, and then subtract. Either way I get 15, makes no difference. Okay? So, I have my answer. X is 15. Moving on. Find the missing variables in each problem. Okay, what's important here is to remember that RS is half of WY. RS is half of WY. Another way to think about that is WY is 2 times RS. Okay? Now, when you're doing this, you have 2 choices to set this up. You can say x plus 14, which is RS, and we're just plugging the numbers in here, is equal to 1/2 of WY, x plus 21. Now, if you do that, that's fine, but I would not distribute the 1/2, because then you get 11.5, and it's kind of messy. What you can do at this point is get rid of the 1/2 by multiplying by 2. When you do that over here, be careful that you put that in parentheses. So what you get is 2x plus 28 equals x plus 21. Which, interestingly enough, if you look at that, WY, which is x plus 21, is equal to 2 times RS. 2 times RS, which is right there. So that's the other way you can set it up, and you'd be fine. So I'm going to subtract x. I'm going to subtract 21, and then I'm going to get the really mind-blowing answer here of -7. And some of you are going to say, oops, I made a mistake. No, you didn't. But we can't have a measurement that's -7. We don't. -7 is x. When we plug -7 in right here and right here, 14 minus 7 is 7. 21 minus 7 is 14. Those lengths are positive. And we have a 2-to-1 ratio. 14 is double 7. 7 is half of 14. We're all good. Okay, this is the same thing as turn on side. Again, TV is 2 times JK. And JK is 1/2 of TV. So you can set this up any way you want. 2x is 1/2 of 3x plus 6. Now we can do this the same way. We can multiply by 2 and get 4x equals 3x plus 6. Or we can distribute it, but then we have the 1/2, so that would probably be the best thing to do. Or we can set it up the other way and say 3x plus 6, which is TV, is 2 times JK. Same thing. What did I say we were going to get if we multiplied by 2? We were going to get 3x plus 6 equal to 4x. It's the same thing. Subtract 3x and you get x equals 6. Again, we plug that in. 2 times 6 is 12. 6 times 3 is 18, plus 6 is 24. We have a 2-to-1 ratio. Okay. So, remember, we have the same thing going on here, just a lot more lines going on. Mn is half of xz, the parallel line is parallel to. So if Mn is 5, x is 10, right here. Yz is 2 times MP. So if Yz is 14, Y is 7, right there. Okay, we have a centroid going on right here. How do I know that? Because B is the midpoint because those are equal. D is the midpoint because these are equal. And F is the midpoint because these are equal. When the lines are drawn from a vertex to the midpoint, which is a median, they all intersect at the centroid, right there, G. Now remember, the medians, when the centroid is formed, have a very specific relationship. The short piece is half the long piece. The long piece is twice the small piece. The small piece is 1/3 of the total. So like for example, right here, this is 1. That means we know this is going to be 3. Because 1/3 of 3 is 1. Or 1 times 3 is 3. Also, it's a 2-to-1 ratio. So if this right here is 1, that makes this 2. So C is 2. If this piece right here is 8, then this piece is half of it. So B is 4. And 4 times 3 is 12, which makes AD 12. 8 plus 4 is 12. It all works out. And then A, which is up here, okay, the whole line CE is 10. A is half of it, so A is 5. Okay, graph these points. So M is at 2, 9. -8, 1. And 3, -4. Okay, so there are my points. I have M, N, P. All right. Now it says find the midpoint of MN. So I'm going to use these 2 points and find the midpoint. The midpoint is just the averages. If you look at the next page, here's your midpoint formula right here. Okay, so we're just going to add the x's and divide by 2, Add the y's and divide by 2. So, 2 plus negative 8, divide by 2. And 9 plus 1, divide by 2. 2 minus 8 is negative 6, divided by 2 is negative 3. 9 plus 1 is 10, divided by 2 is 5. Negative 3, 5. So, I go to negative 3, 5, and there's my midpoint right there. Now it says, draw the median from P. So, from here to there, I'm going to draw my median. And I can mark it. Those two pieces are equal. Now it says, find the slope from P to MN. Well, you can do it the mathematical way. So, from this point to this point, you can do y minus y, negative 4 minus 5, over 3 minus negative 3. Which is going to be negative 9 over 6. Which ends up being negative 3 over 2. But you could also just count. So from here, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, down. There's my negative 9. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right, which is my 6. Okay? Also, if you notice, if from this point you went down 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and then down 3 and right 2 again, you keep hitting that line. So the slope is negative 3 halves. So write the equation in point slope form. Well, back on this page, here's point slope form right here. So all we're going to do is we're going to write y minus, okay, and we can use either point, P or the median, the midpoint. I'm going to use this one right here. So y minus 5 equals my slope, negative 3 halves, x minus negative 3. And then I'm just going to clean that up and say y minus 5 equals negative 3 halves x plus 3. And again, you could have used point P also. It just has to be one point on that line. It doesn't matter. And find the coordinates of the centroid. You could, the long way to do that would be to find the midpoint over here, find the midpoint over there, and then draw all three and see where they intersect. But the easy way to do it is with the centroid formula, which is very easy. It's kind of like finding the midpoint, but with 3 points. So we're going to add 2 plus negative 8 plus 3 and divide by 3, all the x's. And then we're going to take the y's, 9 plus 1 plus negative 4, and divide by 3. That's going to give me the point, negative 1, comma 2. If I go up here to negative 1, 2, there's my centroid right there. Okay, let's fill out the rest of these. We'll be using them. We've used this already. This is my slope form. Y minus y over x minus x. Yum yums on the picnic table. This is slope-intercept form. D is for distance. There we go. So find the slope of the line and line parallel and perpendicular. So y minus y, 3 minus 5. And remember, this is the most common mistake here is doing x's on top. It's 3 minus 5 over 8 minus negative 3. You could also go the other direction. It really does not matter. And that's going to give you negative 2 over 11. If you went the other direction, it would be 2 over negative 11. Same thing. So negative 2 over 11. The parallel line is going to be negative 2 over 11. And the perpendicular is going to be opposite, so positive, and the reciprocal 11 halves. Okay, so let's graph this. 2, 3. 8, negative 3. Negative 4, 0. It says, graph the perpendicular bisector. Let's label these first. A, B, C. The perpendicular bisector to side AB, which means we need to find the midpoint of that line, because the bisector is going to bisect it, cut it in half. So to find the midpoint, again, we're going to use A and B here, and we're going to do 2 plus 8 divided by 2, and 3 plus negative 3 divided by 2. And that's going to be 10 divided by 2 is 5. 0 divided by 2 is 0. So that's going to be the point 5, 0. Right there. That is the bisector point. That's the midpoint. So I can say that this piece and this piece are equal now. Now find the slope of AB. Again, I could take AB and do 3 minus negative 3 over 2 minus 8, or I can just simply count. So from A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the slope is down 6, right 6, or simply negative 1. Now for reciprocal, when you flip that, it's really negative 1 over 1. So that's going to be positive 1 over 1, or just simply 1. Now it says graph the midpoint, which you already did, and follow the new slope. Well, if you count up 1, right 1, you're going to go this way. But usually when we draw the perpendicular bisector, we do it inside. So we want to go down and left, like so. And therefore, we know now that this is perpendicular and is bisecting. Now it says write the equation in point-slope form. Okay. Well, slope-intercept would be very easy because we can see it goes through negative 5 and it has a slope of 1. So that's y equals x plus 5. But we're going to do it in point-slope form. So we're going to do y minus 0, because it goes through 5, 0, equals the slope of 1, x minus 5, which you can see is the same as the slope-intercept form right there. Remember, if you need to hit pause or go back, please do so. Okay, let's graph this. 1, 1, 2, negative 8, and 8, negative 3. Oops, a little bit off. Okay, it says, let's put our letters on here, Q, S, R. It says graph the triangle and label the vertices. Done. Find the slope of QR. Again, I'm just going to count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and right 1. So that's going to be down 9, right 1, or just simply negative 9. The opposite reciprocal, 1 is going to be positive, and negative 9 over 1 becomes 1 over 9. Now it says start at S and follow that slope. Well, here's the problem. If we go 1/9, we go up 1, right 9, we're going to be somewhere over here. So instead, we're going to go down 1 and left 9. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right there. And then we're going to draw that line. You can see it'd be pretty close. I was off a little bit. But there you go. So that is an altitude, which means we know that that is 90 degrees. We do not know if it is a bisector. We just know it's an altitude. Now write the equation of the line. So again, we're going to say y minus -3 equals the slope, 1/9, times x minus 8. And then I'm just going to clean it up. Y plus 3 equals 1/9 x minus 8. Okay, almost done. Last page. 0, -3. 1, -7. 8, -1. Okay, so we're going to first label these. T, U, V. It says find the midpoint of TV. So that's going to be right there somewhere. So we're going to use T and V. 0 plus 8 divided by 2. -3 plus -1 divided by 2. So that's going to be 4. And be careful here, it's -3 plus -1. That's -4 divided by 2 is -2. So 4, -2. Right there. That is the midpoint, which means I can mark these equal now. Those two segments. Because that is a midpoint right there. Now, find the slope between U and the midpoint. So again, I'm just going to count from the midpoint down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and left 1, 2, 3. So that's down 5, down left 3, or positive 5/3. Same thing. Down and left, up and right. Now I could have found that by actually doing the y minus y over x minus x, but since it's on a graph, it's just faster and easier to count. Now connect the midpoint and U. Done. Use the midpoint and U to find the slope of the median. We've already done that. It's, whoopsie, 5/3. Now write the equation. You can use either point. I'm going to use 4, -2. So y minus -2 equals the slope times x minus my x coordinate. Clean up this side, the double negative. I don't know what happened there. And we are finished with that. Okay, solve for x so that VP is an angle bisector. So we're going to say that this and this are equal. Well, here's angle 2, 7x minus 1. That's right here. It says TVU. Careful with this. TVU. That's this entire angle here is 12x plus 10. Okay, they're not equal to each other. If this is 7x minus 1 and these are equal, this is also 7x minus 1. So like the previous problem, we can add them together or simply say 2 times 7x minus 1 equals 12x plus 10. The two parts add up to the whole. Okay, that's going to give me 14x minus 2 equals 12x plus 10. I subtract 12x and get 2x. I add 2 and get 12. So x is 6. And we're just supposed to solve for x. We're done. Solve for y, so GW is a perpendicular bisector. Well, perpendicular means GW right here is perpendicular to that line. It's a bisector, which means W is a midpoint and these are equal. We also know that any triangle like this, that these are going to be equal. Okay? So therefore, we know this is equal to this. Subtract 3y, add 7, and we get y is 8, and we are finished.